Also tonight, from sewage pollution to clean air and climate change, are green issues being ignored ahead of the general election? And so to the general election, just a little over a week away now, of course, and there's been disappointment from some of you contacting us via Your Voice, Your Vote, that the main parties haven't talked more about environmental issues. A study by the Wildlife Trust shows that 59% of respondents who are voters think that the environment is at least as important as any other issue facing the country. And 39% will cast their vote based on the environmental policies offered by the parties. However, 69% think that all the parties have got a poor track record on tackling climate change. Well, the Climate Change Committee says that the UK is way off track to meet its carbon reduction targets. The plan had been to cut greenhouse gas emissions by 2/3 compared with 1990 levels by 2030. However, set against this disappointing backdrop, this general election is nonetheless being seen as a critical time for action against our changing climate. Here's our environment correspondent, Judy Hobson.
Whether it's sewage pollution or carbon emissions, the next government will play a crucial role in shaping the country's environmental direction. And yet campaigners say they're disappointed there's been little talk of climate change so far.
We're pulling up some Himalayan balsam, which is an invasive species.
The Wildlife Trust in the region has been clear on what it wants the next government to do.
Bring back our lost wildlife, end river pollution, fund wildlife-friendly farming, green our communities and tackle climate change. I do want to see it being taken seriously. You know, working in conservation, you do often see policies being pushed back or you see things being scrapped altogether, and it can be very disheartening. The two most polluted rivers in England are within our region. We've got the River Irwell and the River Darwen, and it's just not acceptable, so that's something that I'd like to see tackled as well.
I have been watching the debates and I must admit I don't think there's been enough mentioned about climate and the nature crisis really. I regard sort of the environmental policies as important as other issues, so it will be my main focus. Like when I go to vote, that will be the main reason why I'm voting.
The UK is battling a host of climate issues. Last year, June was the hottest on record. Extreme weather means the region's moors are vulnerable to fires, and our farmers have lost crops due to both drought and heavy rain. So what are the main political parties going to do about it? They all aim to achieve net zero. That's when the amount of carbon we release is no more than the amount we remove. The Conservatives and Labour say they're committed to achieving net zero by 2050, the Lib Dems by 2045 and the Green Party by 2040. All parties will boost renewables and insulate homes, but one major difference has emerged. Labour wants to reduce reliance on oil and gas, while the Conservatives would allow new oil and gas licences in the North Sea. Both claim their policies would increase energy security and reduce bills. One environmental issue that's high up on the agenda for some voters is sewage pollution.
Our big blue and green bus behind me says that down the side, it says there have been 604,833 discharges of sewage into UK waters last year, and people are furious. And we campaign specifically on ending sewage pollution in our rivers, lakes and seas. Principally, we're demanding an immediate inquiry into the state of our waters across the UK by the next government.
Currently, every single river in our region is polluted. All parties say they want to clean up our rivers and lakes and want to hold water companies to account. But for some, the biggest election issue is on our doorstep. The group Mums for Lungs wants the next government to do more to protect us from toxic car fumes.
The health evidence is mounting about the impact that air pollution is having on all of us, especially children. We would like the incoming government to start working alongside the Mayor in Greater Manchester, not only to recognise the gravity of the situation we've got here, but to really put in some ambitious policies to help reduce air pollution. Kids need to breathe clean air.
The Conservatives say they'll ban new diesel and petrol cars by 2035, Labour and the Liberal Democrats by 2030. As green groups call on all parties to be bolder with their green policies, many voters say they want the next government to ensure the UK meets its carbon targets so the future is greener and safer for all of us. Judy Hobson, BBC North West Tonight.